Hey, you boys ain't get it. You ain't get a text message from Lil Cole. I got a text from Lil Cole. See, y'all don't even bang with him like that. Okay, so late in the evening, we got a text message from that 910 number. That was the number on the birthday blizzard joint. What was I thinking? Anyway, we got a message, and it led us to the Inevitable website. And looks like J. Cole has a cover out and left a message. Hey, what's going on? Let's look into this. Okay, so while Cole is aura farming in that picture that y'all just saw, this is explanation, right? He says the falloff cover that is currently circulating is a picture I took on a disposable camera when I was 15 years old. What cover is he talking about? That would be this. Okay. I'm picking up what he's putting down. Let's get back to the message. Anyway, Cole says, yeah, I took that on a disposable camera when I was 15 years old. My very first setup. My first beats were made in that spot, surrounded by my mom's CD collections that I would comb through looking for samples. The first full song I ever made came to life in that very chair you see in the picture. I sat for hours in a zone I had never experienced before until I was done writing a track that I titled The Storm. I probably rapped it out loud 50 times back to back, my young mind blown that I had actually wrote something this great. I called Nervous Wreck immediately, see if I could come over to the shelter to record it. The mental space that I entered writing that joint was a feeling that I would attempt to explain, but I doubt it will do it justice. It was the strongest possible combination of creativity, focus, faith, and excitement that I imagine one can't understand until they've been in it. I have. It's like God letting you into heaven for a few hours. Then even after it's time to leave, there's a lasting glow. You're describing ultra instinct, brother. A high and a fulfillment that stays with you for days. Now, every time you sit down to write, you'll close your eyes, cross your fingers, and hope that it comes for you again. I see what you're saying. Cole. Let's keep going. Right here, he says the picture of where it all started for me felt fitting for an album that I made with the ending in mind. Oh my God, it's really going to be his last project. Anyway, it has been a cover of the falloff for about the past 7 years. Perfect in my mind. However, this is the part that got the streets buzzing. 2 years ago, after the events that still feed the algorithm till this day, I'm a participant. He's talking about the great rap Shinobi Wars. I became incredibly re-inspired, and the album slowly blossomed into a double disc as the concept expanded. I felt there should be more of an additional cover that represented that. Oh, that's what that aura farming picture is for. And something just as strong as the first with my face on it. Okay, Brandon. So that when I look back in 20 years, I can see the image of who I was at that time I released a project that I worked on for so long. This is that cover. All right, we're going to get to the bottom in a second. I want to talk about that first part. Cole saying, the fall off turned into a double disc after the event of the beef. I feel like that's interesting. I also feel like you're doing your fans justice, because while you may not necessarily be saying, I don't think he's saying in this message, hey, I made more records just to talk about what happened during that time. I think he's speaking more so to being re-inspired, right? He says it literally. I'm not making this up. It's right there. I became incredibly re-inspired, and then the album blossomed to a double disc. So I'm going to take his word here literally, and I'm also going to sprinkle my kind of sort of rapper brain in there and say, okay, well, if you're re-inspired because people kicked you off the top spot, you said that in your freestyles. You're inspired to prove yourself some more. Then also, you probably got, another song or so to write. Maybe Port Antonio was one of them, just didn't make the fall off. Like, you had maybe 3 variations of that type of song, and so many people playing on your name, and then it leads to other things. That's one thing about what he talks about, this algorithm, the events that feed the algorithm to this day is so much ish that feeds into more different topics. And he's just talking about, you ain't spoke to this person in a day, you ain't in a year, you ain't do this, you ain't do that. What do we know about Cole? Cole got into a fight and didn't do nothing, just weird stuff. So I think that checks out. I'm very fascinated at, what songs were done before the Great Rap Shinobi Wars and what songs were done after. But I guess we'll only know, when we grab the fall off. Or maybe that's a great interview question that HQ can ask, because Cole at the bottom says, oh yeah, also we've added a section to this site called Bill Central. It's a message board forum that you can post in it if you choose paying homage to It's paying homage to a website I used to visit as a teenager called Cannabis Central. I think I remember the ending of those, Mine was Kanye to the. But anyway, I would go there damn near daily, hoping for any updates about when Cannabis was going to drop a new album, a single, a freestyle, anything, a community forum. Okay, so you get the point. The inevitable joint. I'm going to have Bill Central. You can drop stuff on there. And for Cole to answer, I'm probably going to do the same. But I'm also probably going to manifest a Cole interview. Oh, why would J. Cole do an interview with you, bro? Because I manifested it. And he gets manifestation. Can you imagine if, like, because that would be, I would push, guys. What songs can you share with us? Jermaine, can you share with us? You don't have to tell us every song, but what songs were done pre-beef and post-beef? Can you also share with us, what's the oldest song that you wrote for the fall off? Like that shit like that. I probably would have to do it that way. Hey, Jermaine, what's the, can I call you Jermaine? What's the oldest song you wrote for the fall off? And what's the newest song that was made for the fall off? Then I would stop my search there. Anyway, Lil Cole, know what I'm saying? Fall off on the way, 2626. All that good stuff. New cover, you get the point.